Good day and welcome. Thank you for joining us after this Thanksgiving break. I am Ryan Moody and this is Raece Thomas and Brandon Thomas, and we are here to discuss the latest updates over the past 2 weeks of the Magic Tournament.
Alright, it seems that what we have right now, and 2 weeks ago, we had Minyard and Ryan, Jay and Jaron, Tyler and Raece, Chris and Kyle, and Zach and myself were playing this week. Would you want to talk about your game with Minyard, Ryan?
Alright, sure. As you know, in between the process of going through week 1 and week 2, we instigated a deck mulligan rule. A lot of us had decks that weren't working out or had too many cards, and so we needed to be able to reformat them to be able to continue with the tournament. With doing that, we decided that we would take a 1-game loss, making it to where we were 0-1 during that match. So all the other person had to do was be able to win 1 match, and then that would be an automatic win for the match as a whole. To be able to continue after doing the mulligan rule, you would have to win 2 games within that match to be able to then move on to the next level with the win for the match as a whole. Well, I went and did this and traded out my Spiders deck for my Hot Blooded, running red and black vampires. And so I started against Minyard with an 0-1. And as we went on, she was playing her black vampire deck, Real Bitches Don't Sparkle, which is a pretty lethal deck. She has a lot of removal and a lot of opportunity to be able to seize control of the tempo of the game.
Yeah.
And so during our match, we were going back and forth, and what I think is the real turning point was I had a hand that was full of land, and then a Brimstone, I think it's Brimstone Volley, and so which would allow me to do 3, maybe 5 damage if somebody's already died that round.
Yeah.
And so she goes and she plays Duress, which then removes 1 card from target opponent's hand that is non-land.
Oh man.
So that was the only non-land that was there, and I was holding it for a later use instead of using it earlier whenever one of my vampires had killed her creatures.
So it was lucky placement, I guess you would say?
It was, as well as skill. Like, if she didn't play it at that point, I could have played it later in the round and been able to either take 1 of her creatures or take a 4th of her life points.
Or maybe draw another card that you could discard.
Right.
Well, I guess that was a close match, but in the end she took away with it. We had Zach and myself play, and I also took the mulligan rule, which I decided to do that because Tyler just annihilated my deck. I mean, when I only draw 1 land, 1 turn, and then just not have enough cards to be able to play the second turn, it's just upsetting. But
now I hear that Zach also took the mulligan rule, switching out some of his cards for better mill cards.
That's what I heard as well. I don't know if it helped at all because I didn't see any change in how he played other than him playing other people. I came by, I started off with a pretty good hand. I didn't have that much land. I think I had 2 land, but I mulliganed and then just went ahead. I was going to check and see what I got. It would have been a great hand. But the second hand I drew was just perfect. I mean, I had the perfect amount of land, and I had burn spell after burn spell after burn spell. He did not have a creature on the field for maybe half a round.
Wow.
So it was pretty much over by the get-go. And honestly, he had some pretty good cards. Like, he had 1 card to where we could switch life counters, but he had the ability to draw that next card, and he decided to wait on it. And I think that's really what ended the game for him right then and there. And let's see, we had Tyler and Raece play. How did that go?
It went better than I expected. I expected Tyler just to beat me, kill me 2-0, but I drew really well. I drew 5 1-drop creatures, so I was able to get him out really fast, and I actually ended up winning that game. The second game, he sideboarded about 11 cards. He beat me pretty handedly. The third game was really close. the second game also, he played 3 removals right off the bat, so I got creatures out quickly, but he was able to kill them. And then once he had the land out to get his creatures out, I couldn't do anything against it. The second game was a lot closer. I think I could have won. There was one point where I swung with everything, and I had Crusader of Audric on the battlefield, who was like a 6, and he had 7 life, and he had 1 blocker, and I played protection from red so I could get through his blocker. Which I probably should have waited to play the Brave the Elements to give me protection from red so I could get through, because he played a removal, my Crusader of Audric. So I might have been able to win. I probably still wouldn't have it, but he did really well. He beat me. It was fun. I was happy to get the 1 win, so I think he didn't he?
So it sounds like your deck, Call to Arms, was a lot more really fast aggro, and you were able to get in before he could get his control elements down.
Yeah, and he actually said that white weenie decks, which is what I run, white fast decks, are the best against that deck. So yeah, the first couple of rounds was all me swinging, and I was able to get through and do some good damage, but once he was able to get his land out and get his big creatures out, he was able to stop me. So all he really had to do was play removals on my quick guys, at the same time getting land out, get his big guys out, and he was able to take control of the game and win.
Alright,
so let's take a look at the board for the second week, how things played out. As you can see on the board, we have that Brandon was able to beat Zach. Chris beat Kyle in a black-on-black match. Tyler beat Raece. Jay beat Jaren. Jay was also using that mulligan rule, which explains his loss on there.
And back-to-back wins. I mean, that has to be pretty intense when you're already saying, "Hey, I'm gonna switch up decks here," and he went complete opposite direction with his deck. He started, what was it? It was a control detain deck, right? And then he went on the opposite of that to exalted deck,
right?
And
very aggressive.
It's very aggressive deck.
And then we had Minyard winning against Ryan.